Bet you didn't know the ZenMaid software can do this. It's true. I'm going to share with you today ZenMaid software and some of the features you may not know it does. Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's show is brought to us by mycleaningconnection.com. This is a resource hub, and it has all my favorite things on it. It's got books and podcasts and cleaning supplies and SavvyCleaner recommended products. It has a whole bunch of different people that you've met already that are show correspondents and links back to their business so you can hire them for their expertise. And we're including software. I know. I feel like it's my moral obligation to share with you all of the different pieces of software that will help you grow your cleaning business. It's not that one is better than the other, but some offer different features. So we're going to be playing a game on this show called Bet You Didn't Know This App or Software Does This, so you can make an educated business decision. Now today, the expert we have is the creator of ZenMaid. I'm so excited. And he's joining us clear across the world. So while it's noon my time recording, it is midnight his time. So he's like prying his eyes open in order to stay awake so he can visit with us. I'm so excited. All right, with that, please help me welcome Amar Ghose.
Yeah, definitely, Angela. Thanks for having me on. It's really cool to actually be on the YouTube show. That I actually have started watching a lot of YouTube, like in the recent past, and it's just really cool to be here. So thank you for having me. So yeah, so I'm Amar, and I run ZenMaid.com, which is a software that is focused specifically on residential maid services. And so I actually ran my own maid service in Orange County in Southern California. And so I came across a post online that was talking about how to start your own cleaning business. And I found that around the same time as one of my friends found it. And he was very good on sort of the technology back end, like sort of system side. And he brought me on to essentially deal with the people side of the business. And so he was essentially building our website, and he built this little management system within the website to handle our scheduling and all of that. And I ended up moving out of the area and being the people person. He didn't want me running it remotely, and he didn't want to deal with the cleaners and the customers himself. So yeah, we essentially shut that down shortly thereafter because I moved out of the area for a day job. And then shortly after that, a friend approached me and was like, hey, like he was one of my really good friends whose house I would go over to in the evenings before, like right after I was done working or right before I'd start like an evening sprint. And so he'd seen sort of what I was doing on the maid service, and he pretty much proposed building out like the internal system we had created for other maid service owners to use. So yeah, that's pretty much how we got our start in ZenMaid, and that was 6 years ago. So it's been a while now.
Well, you've been very aggressive with it. And like I say, it's taking the house cleaning industry by a storm. And so I'm curious, there are things about ZenMaid that some of our people that are just getting started in the house cleaning business, they might not have heard of ZenMaid yet. What are a couple of things
Mhm.
about ZenMaid that are game changers that are absolutely, you got to have it if you own a house cleaning business, because having owned a house cleaning business, you know those things that maybe a regular house cleaner does not know.
Having a software like ZenMaid, or really any, so like, like when I say like ZenMaid, I really mean any software like ZenMaid, that if you're watching the show and you're using pen and paper or even like Google Calendar, I'd really encourage you to go and look at a couple of the management softwares out there. And maybe it's ZenMaid that's for you. Maybe it's another software that's on the market. There's quite a few great ones. So I'd encourage you to just trial a couple. Now, the main thing that really the competitive softwares on the market do, I think honestly, a lot of us almost take it for granted, us being like the software companies, but something that really blows the mind of any cleaning service owner that this hadn't occurred to is, so most of us focus on automating as much communication as possible. And so when we started ZenMaid, we actually built it around the concept of you have to have your schedule or your appointments at set times, and you've got to do that somewhere, Google Calendar, pen and paper, or in a software. And if you do it inside a software, we can send emails and texts on your behalf. And so we essentially looked at what are the most common communications you have to send, and we started there, and we built ZenMaid around that concept. So the examples there would be if you're currently manually texting either your cleaners or your clients, like reminders the day before an appointment, ZenMaid does that for you automatically. It can follow up, it can confirm details, all of that stuff. And so like, I don't know. To me, that seems really basic because we've been doing that for 6 years now. But then you see people that just, it had never occurred to them that you could automate something like that. And it really opens up people's focus to do, a lot of the stuff that like you're really great at with focusing on like the hiring or the training or the marketing and the sales and all of that stuff. So we're just trying to open up more time like that.
One of the things that I like about ZenMaid is the fact that you can set up a calendar and have your recurring schedule. I know that when I started my house cleaning business, it was all paper. And so every week I would print out an Excel spreadsheet and then I would block out the hours, hour by hour. And then I would
Yeah.
physically type in or write in Mrs. Jones from 12 until 3 p.m. or whatever it was. And then
Yeah.
every week I had to repeat that process. And so the fact that you
Yes.
can hit recurring and reschedule those customers week after week and then make adjustments with looking at the whole calendar without having to
Yeah.
reprint out a new version every time is a game changer for me.
Exactly. Yeah. Or not even that, that actually for someone using pen and paper and Excel, it's more annoying when the appointment doesn't change. That you're literally just like, there's no change to this appointment from last Tuesday, but I have to copy and paste that information over again. Why am I doing this with 50 appointments that never change? And that's actually the bigger frustration. It's crazy to me that some people are still still doing that in 2019, you know?
One of the other things that I really like about ZenMaid is the fact that you have a sliding scale as far as payment goes. Because when you start looking at adding in new people, new employees, it gets really expensive when you start taking extra time to then adjust all of their schedules and make it all work. And as the
Yeah.
solopreneur or the business owner, you end up spending hours a week just on the scheduling. And so when you
Yeah.
look at, you can just keep adding as you grow to the ZenMaid program. I love that because for the price of a couple of hours of cleaning, you can save time by automating all of those tasks. And I just love that
Yeah.
about ZenMaid.
Yeah, it's really cool, and that's something that we changed a couple of months ago. And my favorite thing about that is that I think a lot of people, like anyone that's watching this show right now and is already familiar with ZenMaid, has probably seen some of our content. They've probably seen. I mean, like Angela, you're speaking at the Maid Summit that's coming up here soon. Actually, I don't know when this is actually going to air, if it's going to be in time for that. But we do a lot of content marketing, and we go out of our way to try to help people in a lot of the same ways that like you're doing with the Ask a House Cleaner show and all of that. And in the past, it was that was definitely helpful for us on like the sort of like brand side, that a bunch of people knew our brand, knew our company because we would do that work. But now we're directly incentivized to provide really great content that helps even our current customers to grow. And so it's really added a new dimension to the business of we're thinking about what are some of the things that even just blog post wise we can do to make our customers more successful, because the more successful they are, the more successful we are as a company. And I think it was really important for us to like align those incentives perfectly. I think it's really like big for us.
One of the other things that you do that's very interesting is not only have you owned a house cleaning business, but you've partnered on your team with other cleaning business owners so that you have a variety of different perspectives that you're bringing to the ZenMaid concept. Share with us a little bit about that.
And so we had hired Courtney Wisely on our team, I think 3 years ago now at this point. And I told her that if she was going to be setting appointments for ZenMaid, she needed to know people's businesses and ideally be able to help them with something that was not related to the ZenMaid software when she spoke with them for the first time. And so she came back to me like 3.5 weeks after we hired her and was like, hey, check out this website. I started my own maid service. And so that wasn't even something that I consciously did, but then we've seen the benefits of having her on the team, running her own business. And so now our head of support, Maria, she ran her own maid service for 14 years before selling it last year. So she exited the business successfully. And we have, I think, two other maid service owners on the team. And then in case anyone is watching this and is interested in like part-time work with ZenMaid, we're in the process of hiring 3 to 4 more maid service owners. And it's for a lot of the things that you touched on, that they help us to get really fast feedback loops when we develop a new feature. They help us on the marketing side. They can jump in and do support because they're already using the system themselves. And then they're all really great on phone calls because they're maid service owners and they're used to talking to people every day. And so, yeah, it's really nice. It makes for a nice, like, nice little family. And it's definitely a lot of like experts all in one place.
Well, since you opened up that can of worms, if someone is interested in joining your team, how do they go about doing that?
Actually, just drop me an email at amar@zenmaid.com. That's AMAR. Similar to how we're hiring these people, I'm always going out of my way to stay as close to like the ground level as possible. So anyone watching, if you have questions on anything that's talked about here, you just want to drop me a line. I respond to every single email. It's not always as fast these days. Sometimes it takes me 24 or 48 hours to get back to people. But yeah, I'm always happy to chat. And for this position, I'm actually the person that will be like talking to everyone and hiring. Usually it's Chris on our team, but this time it's me. So
Gosh, this is awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, where can our listeners find out a little bit more about you if they would like to take a view of ZenMaid and they would like to learn more about what you're doing here?
yeah, definitely. So if you're a maid service owner watching this right now and you're feeling overwhelmed by like the management back office, all of that, head to savvycleaner.com/ZenMaid. Angela and I will have a page up there for you to check out with a special deal. I think that'll most likely be an extended trial over what people would normally get when they sign up. But I'll see if maybe we can throw in a extra call with me and Courtney or something along those lines. So yeah, that's a savvycleaner.com/ZenMaid. And if you want to reach out to me directly, you can send me an email at amar@zenmaid.com.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Amar Ghose, creator of the ZenMaid software, and I'm so excited that he joined us today. When I first got started in my cleaning business, there were no websites, there was no technology, people did not have home computers. I know, I'm that old. It's scary. But as technology started to become popular, I jumped in and I had like 6 different pieces of software that did various aspects of my business. And it still took me a lot of time because none of them linked together. So if you can find a product like ZenMaid that links everything together and does all these different softwares, customer relations, scheduling, customer contact, thank you notes, follow-up notes, all this different stuff. If you can find one that does all of those things, this is brilliant, okay? So please take a look at it. Go to savvycleaner.com/ZenMaid and see what they have to offer. Alrighty, if you found this helpful, please pass it on. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.